gentlemen, and welcome to the HoSkar Night event and seminar section in Bangkok. Thank you everyone for joining the event today. We're all here to explore a very exciting and trendy topic. It's branded residence and ultra luxury. And before we start the program, I would like to introduce the founder of WeHub and the founder of HoSkar Night event series in Asia. Please welcome Mauro Gasparotti.
I go on stage or I'm tall enough to stay down? No, let's play safe. Thank you, welcome everybody to the HoSkar Night. Actually, welcome to the seminar part of the HoSkar Night. This is a little bit more intimate for developer only, and later on it will become a little bit more fun for everybody else. So what we do at the seminar of the HoSkar is usually try to answer a specific question on the industry. So we try to see what is coming towards us. So we bring some of the best industry speakers, some of the best experts to look into trends, look into market change, and really reading between the line of the opportunity. So every time we have a different kind of topic. When we do our big, large events in other countries, we talk about the whole general real estate. But at the HoSkar, we only want to focus on the hospitality markets. And hospitality is actually fun. So it's much better and much faster to find the topic to develop on the hospitality. Now, if you look at what we are doing, what we've been doing in the last few times, you saw that every time we come with a new, different seminar concept and different way to present the industry. Because the hospitality industry, they're a very variety and open industry. So what we do, we can look into the different type of positioning, we can look at from the 2 to 3, 5-star level, all the different type of branding, we can look into wellness element to bring in, F&B element, entertainment. So hospitality allows us to find a lot of fun topic every time to develop. So but what's the topic today? Now, if I look at a bit of a history of what we do, we always have a lot of different things to select. And based on the trend that we see every year, we pick some of them to say, this is what is going to happen, and this is what people want to know more. In HoSkar Ho Chi Minh City, last time we wanted to talk about the limited service hotel. So we really focus into the 3-star market, because Vietnam need more. For the HoSkar in Manila, we want to talk about the F&B part of the element. But for the HoSkar in Bangkok, we took something that is one of the biggest global trends that is happening around us, and obviously Bangkok is one of the first cities. So we wanted to focus on one of the strongest of our Superman, which is the branded residence. Today we're going to talk about branded residence. We're going to see what's going to happen in the industry, and we have a great agenda for you. For the first time, I will not be doing the talking, I will be doing same as you, just the listening. Because we have a lot of great speakers for you today. We have a 5 keynote. We'll be looking into the global trends. We'll be looking at the branding. We'll be looking at the design. We'll be looking into the management. We're looking into the performance of the branded residence segment. And later we'll finish with an amazing panel where we will ask the people to share some of their own story, their own case study of this. This will be last 2 hours. After that, we'll all open to join the drinks. There will be drinks inside and outside. If rain permitting, we go all the way to having a DJ later on. So please stay for the seminar, please stay for the drink, and please stay in touch with us. And Nyung, I think this is the next part where we really needed to say thank you to everybody that make it possible into the HoSkar. I'll see you in a minute later into the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mauro. And on behalf of the team, I would like to thank you, our sponsor, for your contribution. Firstly, Brand & Co., a luxury branding agency. who help us a lot. Rico from Savills UK. We have also CMV Architects, Swan, Maclaren. They are all international architecture design firms who support us today. Of course, I would like to thank you Atlas Concorde. They are Italian manufacturer for premium surface and ceramics. They have a new collection outdoor for you to explore. And of course, thank you Dusit for being our venue partner so that we can host the HoSkar Night in this beautiful hotel. Thank you so much. And to start the program, I also would like to thank you, our local partner, while our speaker is preparing. We have the local partner here to support us, Savills Thailand, Archetype, and Accor team, and also on the distribution partner, Super Connector as well. So now let's start the program. Let's see an overview of global branded resident. Please welcome Rico from Savills UK.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you were paying attention, but Mauro said I'm Superman. He also said I can do this without any practice because I've been doing it so long, but we're going to find out now how true that exactly is. So I'm very excited to be here. It's my first time in Bangkok. It's my first time in Thailand. It's a supercharged city. It's highly energetic and it's really dynamic, and it really is great to be in front of such an audience. And I want to thank Mauro and the team again for inviting us Savills down here to do this presentation. Branded residence is something that we're really excited about, really passionate about. We've been doing it for a very long time now, and it's testament to how powerful the industry is and how exciting and how ever evolving and growing the sector is. That makes us particularly excited to continue to support both developers and brands in this exciting space. So with our industry, or rather in our office, we're based across London and across Dubai. Savills, of course, is a global company. In our very small division, we're based across London and Dubai, and we focus entirely on branded residences, supporting both developers and brands. And the sector is very well represented geographically. We're talking about 1,500 plus projects, about 100% growth between 2024 and over the forecast period until 2031, and more than 200 brands active in the space across more than 100 countries. So historically, it's been particularly active in the Americas. And again, testament to how much the space is evolving, and testament to how much developers are learning to appreciate the power of branding. It's grown such that now it's very well represented geographically. At the end of the presentation, you'll see, by the way, a QR code, and you'll be able to pick up not only this presentation that the organizers will share with you, but you'll be able to pick up as well our reports that we produce annually. Just yesterday, we uploaded to our archives the Middle East and Africa regional report, and a short while ago, we published the Europe reports. In about a month's time, we're going to publish the Americas report, and then about a month later, we'll publish the Asia Pacific report before we start to collect our data for 2025, during which time we'll be very excited to see how over the last 12 months, this has changed even more. So, with forecast growth in line with historical trends, you can see branded residences have grown by more than 100% globally. And that's over 250,000, 250,000 branded residential units around the world. It's remarkable. And I think what's even more remarkable is the growth specific to Asia Pacific. 330% growth is astronomical. Maybe it's not astronomical, but it's certainly incredible. And you'll notice the trend line. So you have the number of projects that are growing, and you have the number of residences in line with that number of projects growing. And you can see historically those two data points have been relatively close together. But if you look at the Asia chart, you can see that the size of the projects is getting larger. So the number of residences in a residential project globally is going to stabilize at around 170 residences per project. In Asia Pacific, that number is as high as 200. So they're larger projects. In terms of regional activity, we have about 15 countries roughly in which branded residences are developed or in which the asset class is developing significantly enough for us to track it. And the most active countries, so it's focused on 2 countries, Vietnam and Thailand. So great that we were here. Last year we were in Hanoi doing a very similar presentation talking about the space there. So the 2 most active markets, Vietnam and Thailand. And we're talking about 320 projects with over 110 brands and 20 plus. So forget what I said about 15, 20 plus countries represented. So we think actually we've extrapolated, historically we've looked at the trends, how the sector has evolved, and we've extrapolated over the next 10 years to see really what does it mean for Asia. And we think historically North America and the Americas as a wider region have been the most active region and sub-regions, and we think in the next 10 to 12 years, Asia Pacific will rival North America in terms of development activity. So brands, what does that mean for the brands? Which brands are the most active? The Ritz-Carlton's number 1. This is globally with almost 90 projects, the Four Seasons right after that. And the dynamic between Ritz-Carlton and the Four Seasons has been interesting. 1 year Four Seasons is more active, 1 year Ritz-Carlton is more active. And there's some very exciting additional brands after Ritz-Carlton, after Four Seasons that are active in this space as well. But what we really look at, in addition to the brands, what we really look at is the operators. Which operators are the most active? And again, globally, Marriott, by quite a significant amount. I think it'll take about, well, by about 70% they're ahead of Accor, the second most active operator. And again, you've got Four Seasons, Hilton, Banyan Tree, and Asia. What you'll see in a second is Banyan Tree is a particularly active brand. But we look at the operators because that means under their portfolio of 30 to 40 brands in some cases, they really know how to do this. What does it mean for Asia? Four Seasons in Asia is the most active brand, followed by Banyan Tree, followed by Cassia, Aman, and Sana. And like I said before, because Banyan Group has additional brands in their portfolio, that makes them the most active operator. Interestingly here, Accor is still number 2, but that means that Marriott has dropped down to number 3. Where are the non-hotel brands? So I mentioned before there are about 220 brands that are active in the space. Roughly 80% of them are hotel brands, 20% are non-hotel brands, but we track these as well. And at Savills, within our division, we have access to most of these brands, and I say most of them because some of the brands are doing it as a one-off, and so we don't necessarily need to communicate with them because they're not going to go and seek out additional projects. Which ones are the most active non-hotel brands? You has been doing it for a long time. Roughly 100 projects in their portfolio. Pininfarina is especially active. They're a design brand. Trump is especially active. And some of these brands you'll see, Trump, Nobu, arguably Armani, arguably to a certain degree Versace, they've moved into the hotel space as well. So historically we've tracked them as non-hotel brands. At a certain point, once they've received or once they've reached that critical mass, we'll start to explore them more as a hotel brand, but for all intents and purposes, they'll either still be considered a food and beverage brand or a design brand or a fashion brand. How is the sector evolving? So on the left, you have hotel brands. On the right, you have non-hotel brands. On the left, you have the chain scales. And globally, luxury is the most active chain scale for hotels. And that's because branded residences were not only born out of the hotel industry, the first real project being developed in 1985, which again was a Four Seasons. It also evolved, or rather, it also was launched in the hotel industry within the luxury space, because that's the value proposition. You're buying into, as a residence owner, you're buying into a certain lifestyle. And so predominantly luxury, on the right you can see predominantly design. What does that mean for Asia? So in Asia, interestingly enough, you have more upscale, chain scale projects. So you went from 64% luxury projects in the hotel space to 50% luxury projects in the hotel space. And on the right, still design, a particularly active industry within the non-hotel brand space. Here's what most, if not all, stakeholders gravitate towards, which is the brand premium. between 2023 and 2024, when we tracked the brand premium, in 23 it was roughly 30%. In 24, that moved up by 3 percentage points to 33%. Across different destinations, whether it's an emerging city, a resort, a global city, the brand premiums range anywhere from 27 to 47%. 47% for emerging cities, 34% for resorts, and 20% for global cities. And in global cities, you have already a very high level of quality residential, and so that brand premium comes down a little bit because you're competing with a very high level of quality of residential already. In emerging cities, as you may appreciate, that quality is not yet at the level that it is in cities like London or New York, Hong Kong, Singapore, and so that brand premium is stretched quite a bit. For purchasers, branded residences provide the opportunity to participate in a rental program. So it gives residence owners a possibility to offset the cost of the ownership of the real estate while they're not in residence. And you can categorize rental programs into 3 different basic categories. One is private, meaning no rental program whatsoever. If there's a rental program, then it's long lease, and that's typically around 12 months. I appreciate that in some markets, that number can come down to 6 months, but you want to focus on making them as private as possible, as exclusive as possible, and limiting the turnover of guests, visitors, tenants. Optional rental program, where you have a co-located hotel, where you have a mixed-use development, where the hotel can support rental programs. Residence owners have the option to participate in a rental program. So in private residences, roughly 37% of projects are private, 47% are optional, and 16% are mandatory. So these are touristic use residences, these are collective investment schemes, these are condo hotels, but the vast majority is still optional rental programs. Not the vast majority, but simply the majority. And here's the view for Asia. A lot more, almost double, mandatory rental programs, and the optional rental programs have come down. So branded residences, I like this slide. Branded residences around the world are always in the headlines. You've got Miami, you've got London, Dubai, and you have Tokyo. Penthouses in these 4 projects, Mandarin, Raffles, Bulgari, Amman, the penthouse units sold for anywhere between $65 to $140 million. That means 4 units in 4 different markets around the world combined at a value of almost $500 million in real estate. It's tremendous. What do we see in terms of trends? So we have a great number of high net worth individuals with new priorities. We have a focus on sustainability. We were in the Algarve some months ago, and the developer there realizes that buyers nowadays are looking for sustainable features in their residences, not just because it's important to them, but because they know at a certain point they may need to sell the unit to someone for whom it is important, in which case it'll be far easier to sell it if it already has the sustainability features. But also, as legislation continues to evolve, as regulations continue to evolve, retrofitting a unit is far more complicated than buying a unit where sustainability features are already incorporated into the design, into the development. Design and technology is smart technology. Health and wellness, you have air quality, you have sleep quality, you have a focus on outdoor spaces. We were at another project in the south of France, and when it comes, and this is largely in the post-pandemic period where residence owners appreciate that they would like to spend more time outdoors, or that they may be working from home, in which case now it's not going to be maybe a 3-bedroom apartment, but maybe it's a 2-bedroom plus an office. Or maybe the master ensuite is large enough for self-care, for wellness, for well-being. The project that we were at in the south of France, the master ensuite was the same size as the master bedroom, which tells you a lot. Sleeping is for sleeping, but self-care and wellness, that's equally important. As mentioned, I think you'll get this presentation at some point from the organizers, just a brief explanation of what it is that we do. I mentioned at the beginning that we support developers and brands, but we really can do almost anything when it comes to branded residences, whether it's operational advisory, brand premium studies, market intelligence and research to understand what the competitive landscape looks like, contract negotiations. If a developer is seeking a brand, we can support the developer with finding the right brand for the right project that will deliver the right value. For anything else, don't hesitate to reach out either later tonight, and if not, there's a QR code in this presentation where you can follow us for any updates, any announcements, and most importantly, to read up on our latest reports. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nico. I want you to ask your question. So,
Okay.
Can you answer the question that Mauro mentioned earlier? So, what is next for our industry in Thailand and also in South Asia?
I think, I was thinking about this before. I think, so in the 1980s, hotels were competing with other hotels during what was called the amenity wars. One hotel put a chocolate on the pillow at turn down, another hotel put a chocolate on the pillow during turn down. One hotel offered valet service, the next offered valet service. One did airport transfers. So they were finding different ways to compete. Eventually it wasn't competition anymore, it was a given Wi-Fi. I remember wireless. Nowadays you walk into a hotel, it's free Wi-Fi. 5 or 6 years ago you had to pay for it, you had to get a link, you had to do, it was not as convenient as it is. And so for branded residents, really what you need to do is you need to start distinguishing or offering something, differentiating yourself from the other brands. Some will argue that if you walk in, and I don't want to mention any names, you walk into one hotel brand, it looks like you could be in any other one of the hotel brands. When you walk into a branded residence, what makes it a branded residence? What is the value that they're offering? So what's next for branded residents is really finding a way to bring your brand to life, differentiating what the value is for your residential project, so that a residence owner knows exactly where they're staying. In addition to that, I think we'll continue to see chain scales evolve. We'll continue to see new markets open up. We've recently been in talks for South America. South America is a market that we think is underdeveloped for branded residents as well. And so we think that the sector will continue to evolve in a very exciting way.
Thank you, Rico, very much. Just for everybody, Rico is one of the global experts on branded residence, and that's what he does day and night. So he will be around the whole day. So stop him to ask him a very difficult question. I'll let you land in his brain to you for the whole couple of hours after. So thank you, Rico. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So I think the next speaker will give some tips for us to create our own ultra luxury brand. So please welcome Anthony from Brand &
Thank you, Norm. On behalf of Brand & Co, who are one of the key sponsors today, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to you all today. For those that don't know me, my name is Anthony Moulton. I am the Managing Director and Founder of Brand & Co, which is one of Asia Pacific's leading and awarded branding luxury agencies. Today I'm here to talk to you about luxury brands, but to give you some background, for the last 25 years we have specialised in branding both from hotels and branded residences, as well as also working with global luxury brands. We've had the fortune of working with companies such as Marriott, IHG, Hilton, and also Accor. And also from a luxury brands point of view, for 8 years we were the lead agency for Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy. And just recently we've started working with Rolex watches and also Patek Philippe. So it's an honour to be invited here today. Today I'm going to talk about the art of ultra-luxury property branding. However, before we start there, I thought we'd just quickly recap on what makes a brand ultra-luxury and why does branding matter. The DNA of an ultra-luxury property brand is built on more than just quality or price. It's about crafting desire, legacy, and emotional connection. An ultra-luxury is not transactional, it's symbolic, it's sensory, and it's deeply personal. Branding becomes the ultimate value multiplier by by transforming property into meaning. And buyers at this end of the market aren't simply acquiring a residence, they are curating a statement of identity. So hence, really, ultra-luxury brands don't sell products, they sell belief. And today, I thought I'd take you through the 5 essential ingredients to create an ultra-luxury property brand. And this is, unlike Rico, who talked about branded residences, this still applies to branded residences. But how do you do this for a standalone, independent development? As we know, if you have the luxury or benefit of putting a 4 Seasons or a 6 Senses to a residence, you get instant cachet and credibility. But for standalone developers, how is it that you can build a brand, and obviously the branding and marketing has to work even harder in order to sell that vision to the future purchasers. So I thought, what better way today to take you through a case study of a project that we've been working on in the last 6 months in Australia. For all those that don't know the Australian marketplace, Yarranaby Road, that runs down through here in Darling Point, is home to probably Australia's most expensive residential assets. And in particular, what made this project really unique, over 40 years the client has been buying sites next door and amalgamated 3 sites into one super prime residential offering. And to give you a quick overview of the project in context, 81 Yarranaby Road is a collection of only 8 super prime residences, right on the edge, as you can see, of Sydney Harbour. Each one of the residences ranges from 500 square metres up to 850 plus square metres. The starting price is $25 million. And at the moment, we're talking to a potential purchaser who's looking at combining the top 2 floors, and that will result in a $100 million transaction. I know there's a lot of developers in the room, and that equates to $100,000 per square metre average over the project. Each exclusive residence has its own entrance. It has a private chef's kitchen. It has an elevator that takes you from the road, a car elevator, that then finishes at your front door to a 4-car garage. The development also has a 24-hour concierge, including a private boat jetty out the front. And then there is a whole entire floor dedicated to wellness, spa and gym. So the first ingredient, and this is for branded residents or any ultra-luxury brand that matter, every great ultra-luxury brand starts with a singular vision. A vision that reflects timeless values, prestige, privacy and permanence. The most powerful luxury brands don't follow culture, they shape it. And this is not for everyone, it's for the few who understand it. And so hence the most powerful brands don't chase the moment, they define eras, effectively. And for 81 Yarranaby, it was all about the single vision of a 40-year vision to create a once-in-a-lifetime legacy. So when we started to create this vision, we started with creating an identity for the project. The client then hired one of Australia's most infamous architects who sold projects up to $180 million. And given the uniqueness of this project, they went to then go find a global interior firm. And they hired a company called Banda out of London. I'm not sure if everyone knows of Banda. They're synonymous with doing some of the most expensive penthouses in New York, also in Dubai, and other places around the world. And for that extra bit of cachet, the managing director of Banda is connected to royalty, who's married to Princess Beatrice's daughter. The third person we brought into the equation to create this vision was one of the world's top cinema photographers and art photographers to effectively capture that great, amazing view and what it is to live right on the edge of one of the world's best harbours. The second ingredient we then applied to the project was the craftsmanship, and as we like to call it, design that speaks in whispers. We wanted to communicate and talk about the bronze, to talk about the concrete, the natural stone, all of this design to age with grace. So hence it became about every touch point, bespoke, enduring and intentional. And true luxury isn't laid with noise, it's revealed through restraint. So then hence ultra luxury doesn't scream, it whispers, and the echo is forever. So then we started to create this visual language around these apartments to hone in on those materials and to then celebrate the choice of materiality of the concrete, of the bronze, of this stonework that would then be fitted out in these amazing residences. The third ingredient, which I believe probably is the most important in any ultra-luxury brand, it's about storytelling and a narrative of belonging. And for us, this was all about, inspired by the changing seasons of the harbour. It was about a story of light, it was a story of nature, and it was also a story of harmony. So buyers are drawn to an emotional depth, not just visual beauty, and every element connects to the rhythm of Sydney Harbour. So in essence, at the end, luxury brands don't sell homes. They invite you into a world that only a few can belong to. And for us, this was all about the campaign of an enduring masterpiece, inspired by the ever-changing seasons of the harbour. And it wasn't about just all the blue days, it was about the storms, it was about the lightning, it was about everything that you would experience by living on one of the world's most famous harbours. The fourth ingredient that we then applied was the exclusivity and power of discretion. So we launched this project 3 weeks ago. There's been no public launch, there's no signage, there's no advertising. What we did was we created a database, what we called the 100 Club. And that was effectively putting together Asia Pacific's top 100 high net worths and ultra high net worths. And what we did was we then started communicating and marketing directly to these people. So it became a world designed for the few, not for the many. And exclusivity isn't a tactic, it's the tone of voice of ultra luxury. And at this level, discretion isn't about the strategy, it's about the actual brand. The fifth ingredient, which then started to bring all these ingredients together, was around immersive and sensory. Luxury that transcends. It was about custom scents. It was about an immersive sales gallery. It was hand-selected textures. It was about the brand, the typography, the colour palette. It was about the materials that all echo the brand's essence. And the goal here is to create something that you can feel, not just see. So ultra luxury is never visual alone. It's a harmony across all the senses. And true ultra luxury creates an emotional current that you can step into. It's not just seen or touched, it's experienced at every single moment. So for us to bring all these ingredients together, it was about connecting all the 5 senses into one single memory. And what I thought I'd do today here is show you a video that actually does this. It brings all these ingredients together and actually then brings all the 5 senses into one single memory. So just recapping, ladies and gentlemen, for you, the 5 ingredients. Luxury brands, branded residences, luxury lifestyle brands. These are the 5 ingredients you need. You need to have a singular vision. You need to talk about the craftsmanship. The devil is in the detail. All great brands and luxury brands have rich media stories and storytelling, a brand narrative that connects you to the audience. Exclusivity and discretion. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes I see in working in Asia on luxury brands in the last 5 or 6 years, where too many developers try to create a brand that's all things to all people. You need exclusivity and discretion. That's what keeps ultra luxury brands in demand. And as we saw from that great video, it needs to become immersive and sensory to bring the viewer into the world. And when these 5 elements are in balance, you just don't have a brand, you have a legacy. So in conclusion, you're actually not creating a brand at all. You're revealing a masterpiece. The best brands don't compete, they transcend. And ultra luxury doesn't ask to be noticed. It simply can't be ignored. And 81 Yarran Abbey is not for everyone, and that is precisely the point. So great branding makes property a symbol of status, taste, and time. And for us, for 81 Yarran Abbey, it was all about a quiet affirmation. I've arrived, but I'm not here to be seen. I'm here to belong. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. I hope you found that insightful. Enjoy your evening.
Anthony, maybe I got a couple of questions before we...
Sure.
$100,000 per square meter.
USD.
USD. Do you think if this was associated to any of these 16 brands, or the ultra-luxury hotel brands, would have had a better impact on the price, or actually impacted negatively on the price? Do you think it was worth for the developer to consider for the shortcut going to a brand instead of asking you to create it for them?
Absolutely, because as we know, brands bring credibility to developments instantly. So by going it alone and doing it independent, you take a risk on. So the product and the location, you need everything to go right in order to actually then deliver something that is a masterpiece.
And you as a branding company, when do you jump in on a project like this? For a lot of developers here that they would like to go independent, do you come at a very early stage when the design is done? Where's the best way for you to plug in?
Very much we come in at the start of the project. We're working, for the last 6 months we've been working on a 400-acre project down in Kalak in Thailand, which a few people might have heard of, called Maclaren. The greatest thing about this project was we held a 2-day branding workshop with 20 consultants, the family, everyone who was involved in the project. And the greatest thing about that is it aligns everyone from the very start. Everyone is then on the same hymn sheet and understands the vision of the project.
Thank you, Anthony.
Very
so
welcome.
He will be around for complimentary advice tonight, so please make sure that you ask him a lot of questions. After that, you need to pay the service, right?
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, so today we have a lot of owners and some design in room. So you might have a mixed-use development, or you are going to design or develop a mixed-use development. So how to allocate the shared facilities? What as a tip? So please welcome the next presenter, Patrick from CMB Architects.
Hi. We come back to the earth with more not ultra luxury, but also affordable luxury. So, wait. Closer? Okay. Then, how to do mixed-use development? We talk about projects, but mostly everybody think about the mixed use of 100 residents in a city. And that is happening in any kind of big city. here in Bangkok. A sample is Hilton Bangan, for example, one of the last ones where you have shared facilities and you have a hotel for one side and a branded residence for another side. But I would like to change that part in order to go for a resort complex. This is something that has happened many times. Some people started with the condottels. That's happened with that, part of residential, part of touristic. But lately, it started to be branded residence included in a resort complex. And how to live there, how to combine all of them, how to create a balance between the residents and the guests, between the guys who live with their family or the guys who live and go for vacation. So that one is something that must be a check, basically, because, for example, we see how dynamic real estate market changed, and this branded residence has started to arrive, to stay, and you can see how part of the value of those residents has become that they are assets, they are not liabilities. So at the end, they increase the price much more than in a normal real estate when they are branded. The shared facilities is coming basically because you are not looking just for real estate, you are looking for service. You are looking for services that could be not just for F&B like we see, or security, or housekeeping, or organize everything. Is that mostly the people who live in branded residence, they do not want problem. They want to have service. And that's the main issue. So there are shared facilities that everybody knows. Like we have the F&B, obviously. We have the wellness areas, spas, fitness, water features, pools. You have multi-purpose spaces, so you have to have co-workings, you have event spaces, you have landscape plazas, because you want also these outdoor areas. You have dining, retail, and for the design, there are key issues or key elements that must be, it's like a hierarchy of them. One is the spatial flow, the spatial hierarchy and flows, how people comes in. You cannot enter in a place like it is your home, the same way then with your family and your mate coming from the supermarket. In the same moment, then a guest arrives to a luxury hotel and goes for the honeymoon vacation. That one kills one of them. So that one should be one of the main issues. The stakeholder collaboration is because without an agreement from the designers, developers, operators, what is more important to include? Because if not, one of the, let's say, main characteristics or the needs of the role for the stakeholder, for the developer, can completely be confronted for the operator needs to make a medium-term business for all. Safety access control, the multi-use functionality. That one is absolutely basic in order to use the spaces, not just in one way, but to have it like a flow over the years and over the days to make profitability at the end for all of them. Profitability is not just for the developer, it's also for the owners, but not for one owner, for all of them. In the case study we will see, in 4 years and a half, the price of the units has increased over 500%. So it's something that I almost bought at the beginning when we designed, we didn't, so it's one of the worst decisions. The shared maintenance logic, that is how to minimize the costs and maximizing the functions for everywhere. So to access then the private flow should be absolutely different than the public one, and also should be controlled over these semi-public areas. They are hotel guests, where you don't want maybe an adults-only area, you don't want to have a family's owners enjoyment there. So for that one, should be smooth transitions, then could be through landscape, through design, through different materials, through filters, through other areas. Then we have multi-use functionality. Obviously, you have to offer proper dining. So the restaurants should be absolutely 100%, in principle, 100% used for hotel guests, and then open for lunch, dinner, or other activities for everybody. And if the owners want to join, later on it's part of the business that they have with the operator. That's happening. That one makes then the yield is going higher and gets better profits for everybody. There are parts of experience. If you cannot control that part of, make the difference between the public, or the hotel guest and the family ones, or the residents, or the family, the residents, then the experience and the comfort, the experience will be like downgrading the branding of the area. Because at the end, it will not be a branded residence and it will not be a branded hotel. So it will kill the experience of one of them, downgrading. So how to organize all of them makes absolutely necessary for improving the brand. Physical comfort, of course, and later on it goes to the emotional one. To share the maintenance, this is logic. You don't want to build 3 kitchens. You don't want to build 3 engineering or maintenance areas. You don't want to build storages, housekeeping, or engineering services. In the branded residence, you get all of them at the same time, then they maintain the hotel. So both it's a synergy between both sides. And that one can save over 15-20% of an investment when you mix both of them. Laundry service as well. Well, safety and access control is something that we talked before. It's basic to have that kind of differentiation between the residents and the hotel guests or the resort guests without noticing them then they are separate. This is part of the things. You don't separate them like you're here, you're there. It's like that the flows should be organized in a way that even not noticing that, your flow is different. This is part of the stakeholders, from designers, investors, the operators. And that was the case study that I wanted to show you. The Ismaila Hochambi's resort. That start has been, now is the 4th phase that we are doing. And it started like a pure hotel, it was a real estate, it was like a condotel, let's say. And now it has becoming the first Meliá branded residence. How was that? Was in the 2nd phase, where the brand was already well established, and then the 35 villas in the 2nd phase were sold, and just 2 of them entered in the rental pool, and the other 33 are private branded residents. So they started the brand Meliá branded residence in Vietnam for the villas, and you can see how is there a pointer here? How in the tower also they have units. They are rental pool or not rental pool. And in the villas, it's like a random right now. So, but there are different entrances in the clubhouse. You have shared facilities like a spa, like all the sports area, like the gym, fitness, pools, different type of restaurants here or there, and now appearing 3 more areas for all landscape. All landscape is shared, and you cannot make differentiation who is resident or who is hotel guest. It's something that also helps a lot that part. In that part, all of the facilities then we organize is like that when you go to all the different areas, at the end, the flows makes that you don't notice if the house beside your villa is rented or is a family resident. Now, beside this one, and I come back a moment, beside this one, now we're creating another 600 units. Then it's mixed as well between rental pool and rental pool, and with a complete branded residence system. And the area of that part was that the operational efficiency makes that improve the GOP of the hotel from on site, and also the owners of the residents or owners, the villa owners needs. They pay a fee for the landscape, for maintenance, and that. But at the end, they don't take care about anything or whatever they want. So they can choose to separate the flow. It's extremely important, the aesthetic consistency. In branded residence or villas, you are owner, but you are member of a community. So you cannot just change whatever you want outside your area. Or if it's in case of villas or your garden, must be like a combination, because if not, it will keep downgrading the whole value of each of the units. As I told, the impact was important, and at the end, the conclusion of this, in this part, in this resort, was that it was 30% of operational savings. The value increase from other residents, it went more than 40%. As I told, the first villa, beachfront villa, the price was $950,000 right before COVID, and now the last one has been sold by $4.5 million. So result. So and the 2 bedrooms were like 175,000, and now they're selling by 750,000. So that one comes from the core of the whole package: the design, the operation, and all the efficiency there, and 25% energy efficiency by sharing area. Well, we just designed that. We are in Vietnam since 2008. We're a company from Mallorca, a small tiny island, that has more international tourists than the whole Vietnam along the year. And we design hotels since 1996, and we start to work in Thailand 3 years ago, and we stay here. Thank you.
Stay there. So you may not have explained everybody that you have your own company and you're doing design, but you also appointed by Media for Asia to look after the technical service. So you come across a lot of projects that are designed by third party and you just need to fix them.
That happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how important is the choice of the architect, and how much the architect understand truly all this sharing facility that you mentioned? Or they just simply design what looks good without truly going there, and you guys as operator need to fix it?
Well, we have found many types of choices. We have found hotels now and residents. Then they have 6 restaurants and they organize in a way. Then they have 6 complete kitchens, and with some changes, they will split to 2 of them. So we save around $3 million in equipment, just reorganizing the areas or how were the flows and circulations. So it depends how you organize. There are still nice architects like the one, then has no door failures, and there are another one that has more failure with that. But by the way, in our company we have designed over 30,000 keys. So we work with operation, all types of brands, and everybody has their own idea. In Vietnam, Thailand, we work with local brands that is individual owners, and each of them is a brand with their own requirements and standards. But all of them at the end, when you share why, and you explain how they will save, and how it will work, and how they can increase the value of the property, and how they can increase the GOP coming back, then mostly they agree.
Any disaster project you've been involved to that it was so bad they said, look, let's just redesign it from the beginning?
Yes, quite more than one. But just there are things that you have to check. Just imagine you are in Dusit Thani here in Bangkok, 5-star hotel in the center of Bangkok. So imagine it's not Bangkok. It's in a big city. I'm not going to tell where, but it's not far away. It's in the region, okay? And it's a 5-star hotel. Then when the designer arrived from the architects and the owner, so proud, there was one entrance, one single entrance. For everybody, for the guests, for the staff, for supplies, and for the garbage. And when we asked, how are you going to do that? So serious, and he just told, don't worry, we will take the garbage out at 2 a.m. Nobody will notice. So there are things, and that don't have to be completely, and it's not as far away.
Thank you, Ted. So we will send on the presentation and contact of the expert to you after the event so that you can reach them easily. So coming up next, another really interesting topic. So operating margin. So our expert will share a comparison between branded residence and luxury hotel. Please welcome Tarek from HoSkar.
Let's see if those things makes money, the branded residence. Tell us.
Where are you? There is Mauro. Thank you. Okay, so first of all, I apologize for coming in late. I literally arrived to Bangkok an hour and 10 minutes ago. I've been away for 2 weeks. And I just got back, got home. I did take a shower, just in case you were asking. I did, I swear to God. I don't travel with a shirt when I'm sleeping in a plane. Anyway, no, I don't do stage. So I'm going to tell you a story. Before COVID, everything was nice and wonderful. But then during that time, branded residences did well. They had good stability in terms of operations, in terms of occupancy, in terms of GOP, because they had base business. Makes sense, right? It's not rocket science. Luxury suffered a lot because of huge operating expense. You guys remember that? Some of you work in luxury hotels, yes, Marcus? Yeah? Some of you do business development for luxury brands, and it wasn't fun. Most brands lost money. But then when things were ramping up, hotels that were able to yield significantly made a lot more money. Now things are stable, and the story is very different. Actually, when I saw the numbers, I was quite shocked. I did not expect it to be that way. And the microphone is not working very well, by the way. It keeps. Normally I know how to talk, but...
Or maybe you need to stay in the central.
Say, okay. Come on, okay. So I'll stay close to the receiver. Okay, so let's look at that slide. Extended stay, it's 44%. It is by far, and this is 12 months running, and this is for Asia Pacific region, by far the highest operating margin of any asset class. A lot of people have been talking about wellness. I love wellness. I like to get a massage like anybody else. But they don't make money still. The numbers don't lie. They might be very sexy, very beautiful, very in trend, but they really don't make money. Lifestyle is okay. Everybody else is kind of is in the same range. Beach resorts. Do you guys remember when the Sandbox opened? Resorts in Thailand, especially Phuket, were raking in the money. Resorts have chilled out a little bit. Economy hotels are making well. Good GOP margins, and especially because costs are increasing, labor cost is increasing. Everything that is efficient in its form of operation makes more money now. Let's look at luxury, 35% GOP, 12-month running in Asia Pacific. That's 9 percentage points difference. I'll let that sink in for a minute. That's a lot. And this was flipped 18 months ago, right? But branded residences are doing phenomenal, right? Now let's look at a little bit of a deeper outlook. Let's look at this box over here. So you guys know in East Asia, places like Korea and Japan, they weren't doing especially well the last, let's say, not the last 12 months, a year before that, and a year before that, because their base cost of operation is so high, and they need rate and volume and revenue to make money. Well, you know what? The last 12 months, they are making money. So if you look at the GOP margin, again, 12-month running, East Asia, 50% GOP in branded residences. That's phenomenal. And then Southeast Asia is at 46%. This part here, this is South Asia, which is India, Maldives, Sri Lanka, and so on. And there's not a lot of extended stay in the Maldives. It's running at 41%. That's in luxury, right? And that is the best performing market pretty much in the world right now, right? South Asia is booming. I was at a conference in Mumbai 3 weeks ago, and the buzz was unbelievable. But still, that doesn't come close to branded residences, right? And you need to understand that the cost of energy in South Asia is also dramatically lower than anywhere else in Asia, because they're like Putin and they're like cheap fuel. So cost of energy is really cheap, and still they cannot reach the extended stay margin. So if somebody's operating in this domain, you guys are doing well. It's a good time to be operating branded residences. Let's drill down a little bit more. So let's look at cost of sale. Luxury, 13% cost of sale. What goes into cost of sale? Like the, let's say, system fees, commissions, things like that. That's really, really high, by the way. But that's kind of what you would expect, because most of these bookings are done on booking.com, company websites direct, which also have costs involved, GDS, travel agents, and so on, while the cost of sale of extended stay is pretty much half of that. And the reason is, much of that is done direct at the hotel, and because of the length of stay, typically the cost of sale per unit sold is dramatically lower. So that is a big component of the profitability. Extended stay, other expenses, kind of in line. Payroll, again, you don't have a lot of outlets, you don't have spa, you don't have turn down service, you don't have a lot of the services that a full-on luxury hotel has. So labor, payroll is quite a bit lower, and the GOP margin reflects that. Cost of sale and payroll are the two biggest factors in enhancing the profit margins of extended stay products in Asia Pacific, East Asia, and pretty much anywhere in the world, actually. But that doesn't mean extended stay makes more money than luxury. No, they don't. Of course they don't. And you can see from 2021 November, luxury was at about $100, extended stay was at about $50, and then let's look at this. There was a dip in March. If you guys operate hotels in, I don't know, Bangkok, March wasn't great. So let's leave that ending alone and let's look here. In Asia Pacific, or Southeast Asia, luxury was running close to $350. That's really, really good. Extended stay was running just over $100. So it's a big difference, but we're looking at cost, margins, expenses, and the gross operating profits of these two asset classes. Of course, there's going to be a lot of people that want a five-star luxury hotel. A lot of owners build them for ego purposes, more than anything. We know that. Brands love them because they generate good fees for the brand, for the company. But in terms of pure operating efficiency and margins, they beat luxury. Labor is increasing everywhere. And in extended stay, due to the higher occupancy, I looked at that. In the last 12 months, labor increased a little bit more than luxury because luxury had a solid year and two before that, but still very close margins. Property maintenance, savings for the last 12 months, while luxury, this is always positive. In every part of the world, in every region, luxury always has a growth in property maintenance fees because, well, they need to keep it up to charge what they do. Utilities are down a little bit. Cost of fuel generally, oil has dropped a little bit. Sales and marketing costs, luxury is up dramatically more. Admin in general, fees and expenses, luxury is up. F&B and expenses, this is up. And you know, I looked at that and I was wondering why. Many brands in extended stay typically didn't have their own operating restaurants. They didn't. They would have an outlet that they might outsource to a third party that would run the outlet for them. Yes? Some of you here might be operating in that domain. But a lot of branded residence operators, and I'd rather not name who they are, because I work with some of them, they want to go and yield even higher. And to do that, they need breakfast. And they need another F&B outlet in order to go after corporate accounts, short stay, and so on. So many of them are beginning to incorporate food and beverage offerings within their products and take back the ones that they had given to third-party operators. And until they figure out how to run F&B efficiently, they're going to be running a little bit lower profitability. OTA commissions are basically the same, but the cost of booking is lower because, well, the length of stay has an impact. Extended stays, what is this? Sorry, I didn't look at the slides very much. As I said, I was flying. Extended stays, 12-month rolling variance. Okay, so Southeast Asia and East Asia. East Asia is having a higher GOP because we said the rates are booming and the demand is getting much higher. Japan is having an especially good 12 months. Korea not so much due to the turbulence, but this is mostly driven by Japan. While luxury in Southeast Asia is growing, while in East Asia it's basically stabilizing. And that's about it, really. So I want to thank you for your attention. I hope this shed a little bit of light. If you're looking to operate an extended stay product, now is a good time. If you're looking to develop one, I still think it's a good time. There's a lot of uncertainty around us in the world, and when it comes to extended stay being a solid product, being something that is very much in demand with the change in dynamics of traveler preferences, it is a product that's going to be very powerful for many years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we move into the final part of the seminar today, I would like to invite the next presenter. So he will share about common area costs and owner fees. So please welcome Robert from Savills, Thailand.
He likes big entrance, Robert, usually. That's all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your patience, and I'm sure I'll try and stick to my 10-minute time slot so we can get drinking as quickly as possible. First thing, when we talk about branded and the luxury sector, I think there's a lot of focus on the glamour, the glitz, the extremely high prices, and the lifestyle that's associated with branded. But that's all underpinned by something else. At Savills, Thailand, we cover everything from the research, pre-design, pre-concept, pre-location finding, to the cost planning, as well as the luxury sales and organising the party. Our business is very heavily weighted onto the property management side, with a very strong focus on, I think we're the only brand amongst the international firms that in fact provide management for branded residences in Bangkok. So we get some very significant and tangible insight. The first big thing is when a developer is looking to build in Bangkok, or when a buyer is looking to buy, is to understand that we're not equal with other countries like the UK or Singapore, even Hong Kong. There's a very significant factor is it leasehold, is it freehold? And the costs that derive from the nature of the ownership structure are very significant, and they vary greatly, and we're going to touch on some of that today. But what we've highlighted here is the current distribution between existing and nearly due to be existing between leasehold and freehold. First thing is there's not much branded residence supply in the marketplace as it is. Everything highlighted on there is not actually built yet. Only about half of it exists. Some of it has existed for quite some time. One really worth highlighting is some of the best developments are a leasehold. They're not leasehold because the developer wanted them to be leasehold. They're leasehold because the best land is often in a leasehold location. This development here, the Dusit, being a very significant example, it's particularly good because it has the hotel in conjunction with, in a mixed-use development with the residences. Another example will be whatever is announced at One Bangkok shortly. Fantastic developments in the best locations. And if we wind the clock back 15 years to really what became the originator of the current trend of branded residences, and that would be the St Regis residences on Rajadamnern. Again, it's leasehold, and the big standout factor for being leasehold is that you tend to be able to have the hotel in the building, which provides the hotel experience in the building, which is much harder to achieve when it's a freehold building. So what we're just going to look at quickly here is some of the differences between the leasehold and the freehold. So freehold, obviously, you own it for as long as it exists, let's say in perpetuity. Leasehold, on the most part, these are 30-year leases. However, there are mechanisms which exist, and one of the clients we spoke to this evening with a developer in the up and coming is looking at a 30 plus 30. So that's a secure 60-year term, which is absolutely more than enough. But generally speaking, the initial term at most of the developments is really 30 years. In a freehold, as I mentioned earlier on, they tend to be single purpose. So you can't, by law, it's not technically possible to put a hotel inside a juristic condominium building. So you end up with a building that provides very limited services. For instance, you can't really put a kitchen servicing the owners or third parties inside private property. So the few freehold branded residences that we have in Bangkok tend not to have all the facilities, and it's simply mostly because of its common property. Whereas on the leasehold side, you have far greater flexibility. First off, you're probably going to have the advantage of sharing a lobby and literally sharing the front office staff, the general manager, the residences manager. That provides not only significant cost savings for the individual owners, the developer in the planning stage, but also just in terms of the overall final experience. It's actually much easier in leasehold, even though the perception is that freehold is the better buy. So in the freehold side, your amenities are private, they're self-contained in the building. As I mentioned, on the leasehold side, you can be in a mixed-use development. Leasehold, it's probably cash buyers only. For obvious reasons, the banks don't like to lend. So again, for the leasehold, you may end up with larger units, fewer units in the development typically, and of larger sizes. So they're appealing to a different demographic, to owner-occupiers. Differences start to come out. On the freehold side, you've got buyer financing available. Moving on, so other differentiating factors is the number of staff. So if you look at like for like in a unit, be it freehold or leasehold, or even branded or non-branded in particular, you start getting into extremely heavy staff volume to provide a hotel-like experience in a branded residence, because let's face it, the branded is not a hotel, it's giving a hotel experience. So you need that staff quality. Salary expectations between normal property management staff and hotel staff are massively vary. A five-star hotel caliber person does not want to be in property management. They want to be working in a hotel. So to shoehorn one or two of them in disguise, you're paying them anything, it's not double, it's 3 to 4 to 5 times more. And when it comes to what we would call a building manager versus a residence manager, the difference is absolutely enormous. Shift coverage again. So in a normal condominium, you can, let's say, have 3 receptionists. When it comes to the branded experience, it can be up to 15, because in a normal one, they're probably not working 24 hours. In the branded, you're looking at 5 shifts of 3. So it starts to get expensive. On one of the better parts of the freehold side is in Thailand is the Juristic Condominium Act, which is a very significant document that when you're in the industry you have to start to get to know. But it's a rule book, a guidebook for dealing with disputes, dealing with issues. As difficult as it is, it's a very, very good document for parties to rely upon. On the leasehold side, there's not an equivalent to the Juristic Condominium Act. It does not cover leasehold. So typically the developer has to devise a variation of an operating mechanism, and I think it becomes, sometimes it can create a bit of friction because the owners want the rights of the Condo Act, but they actually don't quite have them. Another aspect on the branded side, which is not well considered with the glamorous launch party, perhaps, is the need to maintain the building in line with the brand standards of the hotel operator. So the reserve funds and the level of maintenance needs to be extremely high, higher than a normal condominium at the end of the day, irrespective of good intentions by owners. So the costs are not just the costs of purchase, the costs continue on. It's an ongoing aspect. So a few other operational factors that come into play as comparisons. I've mentioned the Juristic Condominium Act for freehold. In leasehold, I won't just say you just make it up as you go along. There needs to be a mechanism in place. It needs to be as fair as possible for dispute resolution. On the freehold side, the brand is not an employee, but they're a service provider. They're not quite a partner, but there's a relationship that's contractual that has an expiry date, so the parties need to make sure that the working relationship goes well. On the leasehold side, the the hotel has a slightly different relationship with the individual owners. It's typically a three-way relationship, so the developer remains in place as the lessor, is the head lessee, and then the buyers are the sublessees, and the hotel is a third-party operator. So it's definitely more complex and not covered by the Act. So another aspect of leasehold is you have the benefit of having F&B services, delivery to the room, as well as all the other services of a hotel, which on the freehold side, it's extremely unlikely that you're going to have. Now, there are times, and when space allows for it in terms of the land next door, so it's possible that you will have the hotel, and adjacent to the hotel, separate, you'll have the condominium building that's branded. And an aspect that only really gets found out in the discovery of the development stage is that the buildings can't touch each other. They have to be entirely separate. There are no shared facilities. The swimming pool's not shared. The lobby's not shared. But you don't have a kitchen. But as I say, in a few of the developments in Bangkok, the mother hotel is reasonably close and they're able to provide services. But it's not the same as being in-house. Moving on, in the jurisdiction, the employees are the staff, the property management staff are the employees of the jurisdiction condominium. In the hotel, they're hotel employees that are sort of seconded to you, or they're partial employees, if not full-time employees. But the big difference would be is the employee law sits with you on the condominium side. So the severance, for instance, if you want to lay someone off, or when they retire, there's a financial burden. It's less likely on the leasehold side. And staff rotation is likely to be a lot higher as well, as the staff want to work in the hotel industry and they may move, which alleviates the enormous burden of potential severance, amongst other things. Salary base, as I touched on, is definitely lower, at least a half, if not a third. Whereas on the leasehold side, the staff can get the benefit of tips and other perks from food, uniforms, that sort of thing, which is much harder to do on the freehold side. Leasehold, you share the lobby, possibly, you share a swimming pool, possibly. You certainly share air conditioning systems on the roof, M&E, normally, so there's a shared benefit on the leasehold side there that's overlooked. On the juristic side, it's all yours, you have to pay for the whole lot. It's common property in the juristic, there's definitely shared property. Car park's probably shared, for instance. On the leasehold side, you've always got to have an eye on the clock is ticking. 30 years is coming. If you're lucky and you're in one of the superior developments, you have a built-in renewal, or you hope to have a built-in renewal. 30 years is a long time. Things can change over 30 years. The owners are sublessees, and I'm not entirely sure, but some discussion needs to be had over inheritance. If the owner, the sublessee, passes away during that period of 30 years, can the property be inherited by their heirs? Perhaps it can. This is an open question that needs looking at in more detail. Whereas on the freehold side, there's capital gain opportunity. It's easier to buy, and you can certainly pass the property on to your heirs. So there are key differences. But it doesn't mean leasehold's bad. Leasehold, as hope I'm pointing out, has some definitive advantages in terms of the actual branded experience. Is definitely a lot easier on the leasehold side. So retail advantage. Calling it a depreciating asset's awful, but we don't have many of these 30-year leases getting over the halfway point yet. It certainly does become a bit harder to sell them versus their 15-year-old freehold counterpart. So the jury's out on that one, let's say. Allocation of staff costs. So this is a little bit daunting perhaps to look at. What we're aiming to do is show the staff differential between branded and non-branded rather than branded and freehold. The number of receptionists is far greater. Let's look at that. So we're looking at plus 15, is 15 versus 5 staff to operate the right number of people 24 hours a day. That comes at significant cost. Non-branded does not require a butler, branded probably does, but probably only in the leasehold. Engineering is similar. The only big difference is if it's non-branded, the management company will have high-level engineering at the head office, whereas at the on the leasehold side, you probably have to put somebody in the building at a very high level of qualification. Technician, broadly similar. The GM is broadly similar, except it's the same number of people, except the GM or the residences manager will be paid an absolute fortune compared to a building manager. I would say the differential is possibly 4 to 5-fold as a minimum. Finance, accounting, operations, broadly the same. Brand standard, often overlooked, that's put in at 2.5 billion baht a year as an average. That's where things like birthday parties for children of the owners, organising assistants getting to the hospital, a whole range of factors which simply don't apply in a normal condominium that definitely apply if you're really looking to apply the brand standards, comes at a cost. Other operations is only mildly more expensive, but the big one would be coming in there at 9 million baht a year would be the fee to the brand that's paid by the building. So that's how the brand, that's why they do it to earn the money. Somebody has to pay for it consistently through the term. So overall, on average, the branded versus non-branded is about 25% more expensive to operate. We did also look at the difference in operating between leasehold and freehold and the common area fee, and we struggled with this one a bit, and I don't have any numbers on the screen, but we put that down at about 15% more expensive to operate the like-for-like freehold versus leasehold. So that, I think, brings me to an end. I hope that was reasonably within 10 minutes, Mauro. So, thank you.
Thank you, Robert. I'd love to ask some questions, but we are running out of time. So I'll be asking a question later about the drinks. Maybe you are a more honest answer after a couple of years.
If there's any questions now, I'm more than happy to field a question. If not, I'm also more than happy to not.
And I will stop it with that question. We run out of time.
No hands are going up, so I'll get rid of the mic.
Thank you. So Robert and the team is here today for us. So if you need any support, we are around. Ladies and gentlemen, we're reaching the final part of the seminar today, and I'll make sure that the WeHub team will share with you the video record of today's event, so that you can share with your team, your company, your development team as well after the event. So ladies and gentlemen, so now is the final part, is an interview and panel discussion with the developers and players who are the expert in the branded resident part. I would like to introduce our moderator, Mauro and Marciano.
Thank you.
I will let Marciano doing the job on stage, so I'll be sitting here and listen as well. As I promised at the beginning of the seminar, I will do the listening today.
Please welcome also our panelist, Cham from Dusit International, James from Accor, and Christopher from Swan and Maclaren.
Everybody has a microphone?
Okay.
Very good. Good, Jem. Of course, we would like to start with you. Thank you again for hosting us today here in the HoSkar. And I think it looks beautiful. We are very grateful to be here. Just opened recently. For many of us here, we have a lot of people that came actually outside of Thailand, right? Many people that flew in. And also we have a younger generation this time in the audience. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about the Dusit journey? How did the brand came to be?
Okay, hi guys, hi, I'm Cham. I'm the Vice President for Dusit International. As a company, we've been around for 76 years now, so we've been around for a very, very, very long time. The company was actually founded by my grandmother, back in the days. She actually kind of went to the US. She got a scholarship to go to the US, and then basically saw, all these grand hotels in New York, the Ward of Astoria, and she said, you know what, like Thailand, we need to be ready to have something like this, because she obviously foresee Thailand as being a major player for tourism and hospitality, in its part of the world. So when she came back, she actually started, her first hotel company. It was by the river, a small hotel company, a small hotel called Princess Hotel. It was the first hotel in Thailand.
And that hotel is still here?
No, it's not. We actually sold
Okay.
it. Yeah, it was the first hotel in Thailand to have a swimming pool. Can you imagine? And then obviously the second hotel, she built the first Dusit Thani, at this location. Obviously, in 2019, we had to demolish that building to basically make way for this major development. But a lot of people kind of know us from being a hotel developer, being a hotel operator. What people do not know is that, in her vision, she believed that in order to build, a luxury hotel company to support the industry and pave the way for the industry, you need to have that whole value chain. So obviously in the 90s, she also went out and actually started, hotel schools. So we now have hotel schools, culinary schools, across the country. We have about 6,500 students that are studying with us as well. So training for us is something that is really, really, really important. And we also do it for the industry. Actually, only about 10% of those that we basically train and that those that graduate from us actually come to us. The 90% go into the industry. And obviously, we really much partner up with some of the leading hospitality education providers all over the world, from Lausanne to the Concorde from France and all over. So for us, this is something that is really important. We see ourselves as a hospitality company through and through.
Yeah.
We also just, during COVID, pivoted into food as well. So that now we're having a catering company, food manufacturing. And then last, real estate. Real estate is something that we just kind of, started quite recently. This hotel is part of a larger, wider real estate that's called Dusit Central Park. It's a $1.4 billion project that we actually do ourselves with our partner, the Central Partner Group. That is a mixed use of hotel, residential. We have a branded residence next door that should be open at the end of next year, 400 units, and also retail and office space as well. So this is something that, even when it comes to real estate, we want to basically put it under the flag of hospitality. So that's why, for us, we really truly see ourselves as a hospitality company.
I want to elaborate a little bit more on the branded residences with Dusit, but before we dive into that, Christopher, can you tell a little bit what you do? And I would like to ask you, Kunjab and the family have a brand Dusit, and they need to establish branded residences, right? So where do you start creating a brand, but where do you see the challenge as well as creating and following a brand guide in design?
Okay, interesting question. Hi, I'm Chris Mo. I'm from Swan Maclaren Group. We are an architecture firm based in Singapore with presence across Southeast Asia, Europe, as well as Middle East. We have about 130 plus years operating history. Our predecessors built the likes of Raffles Hotel, Goodwood Park Hotel in Singapore at the turn of the century. Today, we do projects in hospitality, healthcare, infrastructure, theme parks, immersive museums, you name it, we do it. Our Thailand office, we've been here for almost 10 years now, so I'm really excited to be part of this panel discussion. Back to your question, I think when it comes to branded residences, and this is coming from a designer, architect point of view, first let me categorize branded residences into two categories. The first, I would say, referencing Rico's slide earlier, you have the sort of hotel brands, right? So these ones are relatively straightforward. Hospitality, residential, at the end of the day, you're talking maybe half a shade apart. Okay, but today maybe I want to shed some light on the non-hotel brands. So this is where it gets really interesting. So for example, today we're seeing a sharp rise in industries such as high fashion, jewelry, automobile, that are coming into branded residence, right? So when you conceptualize this type of branded residences, the possibilities become unlimited. To take an example, automobile, one of the most talked about upcoming project is the Porsche Tower, right? So we have a brand like Porsche.
We have them in the room here, eh? Also.
Okay.
They are here today. Yeah.
And another one from the same industry is Aston Martin, right? So these two brands, we've seen them moved into the branded residence industry. So when you look at these two brands, the concept at the very core is high performance, okay? But how do you translate that into a physical space? For Porsche, they came up with a patented sort of car elevator, right? So it's a way for the end user to sort of live and breathe their passion. And also from the facade design, you can see that it's very sleek, very sort of high performance design incorporated. On the other hand, if you look at what Aston Martin did with their Miami product, the iconic part of that project is actually a private super yacht marina. So that again plays to the end user's sort of lifestyle, right? Those are people that are sort of thrill seekers who look for exhilaration and who look for and who have a passion for expensive toys. So the possibilities become completely unlimited. Now let's take a quick look at the spectrum from good to bad. Okay, let's start first with bad. What you don't want to do with branded residences. You don't want to have a cookie cutter product, which you then slap a brand name on top of it. That's just packaging. What good would look like would be to have a concept that not only is visible in the living space, but also is woven into other components like F&B, wellness, and leisure and entertainment, which is part and parcel of the ultra-luxury branded resident product. Now let's look at what excellent would look like. Okay, so not only would the concept be interwoven into the hardware, the physical spaces, your rooms, your bars, your restaurants, your fitness center, but it also is interwoven into the software, right? The program, your F&B menu, your wellness program. So that's what excellent looks like.
And then may I interrupt a little bit? Recall projected in Southeast Asia, you had a slide where you have luxury residences, you have mid-tier residences. Jens, a little bit about yourself, and the word on the street is Pullman residences are coming to Bangkok. Let us know.
Alright, my story is not as exciting, unfortunately. I work for Accor, my name is Jens, and actually I work in the premium, mid-scale and economy sector most of the time, but there's in our luxury division, they have a bit of a grip on me as well. And I'm not a residential guy by definition only, so bear with me, bear with me please, but I do know about brands. We have 47 of them, and we have a view on that. And on the Pullman, I think we can say, we'll give you a nod on that. But I think in this forum here, we've been talking about of the luxury branded residences, kind of, right? And look, we've been in this game for about 2 decades, and we have a group that's called Accor One Living that has been, I think, quite on the forefront of pushing that and putting processes and platforms and standards into place. And we have a really great global setup today, so we can facilitate this with about 46 projects that are presently operating and about 130 in the pipeline. So there is an exponential growth that, as we have seen, and it's been so far in the luxury.
Good job. Jens has been 2 decades with Airport and residences.
I have not been with for 2 decades with Accor. I can't take that credit.
But
we have been at the branded residences for 2 decades.
How did Dusit come about to complete the value chain and starting into branded residences? Although there are a lot of competitors in the market here already.
Yeah. Actually, even we about 30 years ago we did our first kind of residences. It wasn't branded, back then. The whole branded residence was pretty much a thing. Hello? Yeah, it was pretty much a thing. Actually, I've got 3 mics now, so I'm a mic hogger. Yeah, so you know, so I mean, back then we didn't really see the values in that, right? And so for us, it was I have to tell you the truth. We were quite late to the game. We just only realized that, you know, well, this is something, you know, a massive drive for a hospitality brand like us. 2018, we went to acquire one of the larger kind of like luxury villas and estates management company called Elite Heavens. You know, where we have about 300 villas and estates, you know, from Hokkaido, Niseko, all the way to Bali and Sri Lanka, Maldives and Thailand.
Did you rebrand also those villas to Dusit?
No, but it's kind of like co-branded as Elite Heavens villas, basically. And we realized it's like, wow, you know, that because we started to kind of manage, you know, these estates, you know, for owners, and we also, you know, realized that this is something, it's a game that we should get into. So, so we basically, you know, this is one of our first projects where we have a Dusit residences, you know, next door to this. And recently, actually, we just announced Dusit Ajara. So it's a branded residence that focuses on what we call generational living. Thailand, we're actually going through this phenomenon where you know, there's aging society, you know, but the good thing is that, you know, families here in Thailand, we all want to live together, we all kind of stick together.
The Asian culture, right? The family sticks together,
exactly.
generations in one house.
And of course, you know, it's not a senior living, and we will never, you know, call ourselves that, right? Because that is just very much one-dimensional, but we call it generational living. So, you know, we just launched, we just basically did an announcement last month where we're building this next to our hotel at the Dusit Thani in Hua Hin. You know, so we are now, you know, looking at branded residents and then focusing, you know, what kind of niche, what kind of market we want to go for. You know, I mean, before we heard, you know, branded resident is not about, you know, creating something for everybody. It's about that exclusivity. It's about, you know, being focused on who your customers are. And this is basically one of the ways in which we are really pushing out, you know, these type of branded residences, and then fill it up, back it up with hospitality, back it up with service, which is exactly what we're basically doing here as well. You know, in this hotel, we built a little tunnel to our branded residence building, so basically our staff, you know, can actually go and actually provide services. You know, within actually the contract, when you buy into the Dusit residences, you basically have twice a week housekeeping service provided by the hotel, and you get twice a month basically the changing of the bed sheets and the beddings for you. So this is actually in the contract, and obviously we charge that back into the common area fees. So these are kind of some of the kind of like the hospitality kind of driven principle that we put in.
The core of hospitality. Yes, there are a lot. You have a lot of brands. Is it 75 brands under umbrella?
47.
47. Okay. Do you think that there is still growth opportunity for luxury branded residences in Thailand, Southeast Asia, with so many owners coming with a similar concept of branded? Do you see that the market will get saturated at a certain point? Because the exclusiveness of luxury, due to the high demand, the high supply coming in.
Yes, the short answer is I think there's absolutely room for growth. Just look around how many luxury branded residences you actually have in Bangkok. Compare that to a city like Dubai or Miami or so forth, and look at the capital available here for people to spend, and the love for Thailand and people who come here and live here. So there's absolutely more. But I think this is just deviating a tiny little bit. Where we see the opportunity is not to dilute this and mixing it with lower position brands, but simply offering a branded residence experience to a different price point. You know, and this is where we come in with our premium and mid-scale. Economy is a bit difficult, and with our lifestyle brands as well. So, you know, it's been all branded and it's been ultra luxury or luxury at the lowest, but that's very selective. And I think whilst there's lots of growth potential, eventually it is limited. But where you have endless potential is if you say, oh, well, we do the branded residences experience now for different price points.
Correct. Christopher, you have brands on a different tier level. You have a brand and operator and developer that has a core hospitality. But nowadays trending as well is the keyword sustainability, right? It's not only a trend, but it's something that many owners and also operators would like to honor. Where do you see, as a designer, that a compromise needs to be made. Do we really want to focus very strongly on the brand guide and the design? And do we have to compromise the essence of implementing sustainability in these new designs that are coming up?
Okay, let me unpack that question. I see two elements to that. When you say compromise, I'm guessing it's the hardware,
correct,
the equipment,
yes,
right? Whether it's your solar panels, your battery energy storage systems. So this is more of a design question, if you may. And at the end of the day, if the location, you have the natural resources to justify the additional capital investment, sure. Then it's down to zoning, it's down to design. The other part about sustainability that I do want to touch on, though, is the perceived luxury. And I think this is actually going to be the new frontier for branded residents. As the market continues to mature, you're going to have products that are more and more sort of successful, if you may. To quote Rico again, the amenity war. That's going to happen again with branded residents. You're going to have brands that are very strong in their design, in their offering for F&B, wellness. So it's going to take care, so we're still talking about the ultra luxury market here.
Yes.
So it's going to take care of this particular clientele's need for comfort, for health, for leisure and entertainment. Okay, so then it begs the question of what is going to be your unique selling point. That's where sustainability comes in, and let me explain why. You need to understand your clientele. If it's the ultra luxury market, if it's sort of these ultra high net worth individuals. One word that is synonymous with this particular demographic is philanthropy. Okay, so once you've taken care of their needs in terms of comfort, health, leisure, entertainment, what remains? So that's actually a glaring element that needs to be filled. And the only way to do that is through sustainability. Now, when you talk about sustainability, the spectrum is very broad. Okay, you have a lot of tools to pick from, but you need to understand what works and to what purpose. We have green certification, right? Your green mark, your LEED certificates. These are more so for the developers, so that they can check the box in their annual sustainability report. Right? At the end of the day, there's a gap that it doesn't really affect the end user. So I think moving forward, it will be really interesting to see who can bridge that gap. Because at the end of the day, these ultra high net worth individuals, once you've taken care of their basic needs, they're going to want to feel that they are leaving a positive impact. And the only way to do that is to weave in sustainability as part of the experience.
Yes.
Just like to add, the sustainability for us is not a choice. It is a directive that comes from the top, and that is embedded into our KPIs, so it goes to everybody's hearts straight away. The other thing I'd like to say, sustainability is not only how efficient we build buildings. I think we really need to look what we do with the communities that are around us. You know, how do we apply sustainability that in supply chains, which somehow relates to the community as well. So fully involved with what you said.
Yeah.
This is a real.
Yeah, a little bit about this mixed-use development, right? Can you tell us a little bit about what forms of frameworks of sustainability have been applied?
So basically, I mean, one of the things, I completely agree with you. Is sustainability, but it's also about the community as well. So when we did like for example, the master planning, we decided to have this beautiful. I mean, actually, when you actually go onto the lawn, you can look onto your left-hand side. You see this great big kind of like a rooftop that is actually being built right now, and obviously, for us that is quite a prime retail area. But we decided, as a group to make this into a rooftop park. We wanted to be an extension, of the Lumpini Park that you can see actually here.
That's where we just go after this session. Yeah. We will go and see the Lumpini Park.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So so for us, we decided, like that. Maybe it's good to have like a retail space that is not kind of filled up with just shops and malls and cafes and restaurants. I mean, they're great. Like essentially, our business model relies on that. But let's do something that is unique. Let's do something that we actually give something back to the people of Bangkok, so that they can basically use this rooftop park as part of the public space as an extension to Lumpini Park. So that's one of the key initiatives that we basically want to give back. We work with University of Agriculture here to see what kind of plants we actually plant, so that it becomes this kind of like symbiosis, kind of like a system, that one plant feeds off the other. So we actually go into a bit of detail in order to make this.
So you look also more on the placemaking side, how to integrate public spaces with your mixed-use development,
and then bring that communities into obviously our development, which is obviously a win-win.
I see. Christopher spoke about F&B, lifestyle, etc. Everybody in the room here wants to know, of course, is Bubbles coming back or not to the Dusit Thani?
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
long gone. It's long gone.
For those,
what Bubbles? Even me, I'm too young for that.
Yeah. For those who are a little bit older than us, probably know that Bubbles was the place to be, right, for the movers and shakers of the jet setters of Asia and the international artists that came here in this building at the Bubbles. No? Okay. But talking about lifestyle concepts, tell us something that we don't know. Is Dusit, you talking about extending the value chain, right? Is there something we don't know yet outside of the cooking school, the hospitality, the Maldives, the mixed-use development?
Everybody knows us, fairly, decently already. But in terms of lifestyle, a few years ago we kind of ventured out into creating a lifestyle brand called Acai. Right now we have 3 properties, 2 in Bangkok, 1 in Kyoto. And we actually have about 7 more in the pipeline. It's really the first time as a company that we've always done luxury, we've always done full service, but it's really the first time that we want to go kind of like more of a mid-scale, lifestyle driven, and obviously limited service, just to really test the water out, and obviously extending, having more value proposition, to our partners and stakeholders. I know that, Accor, you have 47 brands, 47 brands, and for us, we have, that was yesterday, exactly, yeah. We have 8, it's just a way for us to kind of test out new market. But we also want to do it as a brand, and it becomes like, we call it like the neighborhood hotel, right? So again, kind of pulling in the factor of building the community around our properties, and then kind of expanding based on that.
The value chain. Expanding the value chain, Jens. You again, 47 brands, yes? Do you think that at a certain level you would like to introduce, let's say you have 2-3 brands already in the market and you want to add another brand to the branded residence portfolio of Bangkok? Do you think that the market get cannibalized by putting in too many brands in one sector?
Absolutely not. Absolutely, it's not going to cannibalize. Yeah. We absolutely feel that we want to do that. For the reason I explained earlier, it's a matter of price point. Not everybody can afford ultra luxury or luxury. So the branded residency concept is a good concept. It can work in a premium, it can work in a mid-scale. On economy, I would still be very careful. Yeah. But certainly it works in different positionings. And the market for that is potentially very, very large. So it definitely is.
Okay. Christopher, I think we're gonna close the panel discussion soon. But can you tell us one challenge you had whereby either the operator would like to focus strongly on the brand, and the owner would like you to localize as much as possible? Did you ever encounter a real case study where you say, like, as a designer, I'm in the middle, and I have to choose one direction, because if we put both, it does not give the product that either side would like to see in the market?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it comes down to finding the right design partner who can help you strike that balance between what the brand wants and between what the developer needs, and more importantly, what the market is looking for. So maybe I can leave off tonight's session with some food for thought for the developers and the brands here tonight. I see as the market for branded residents continue to mature, there eventually will be a paradox that we're going to arrive at. And that is between, again, we're still on the ultra-luxury market. So the paradox is between brands, right? Branded. At the end of the day, that's about making a splash. But if you look at how the ultra-luxury market is developing, if you look at the consumer behavior and taste for the ultra-high net worth individuals, luxury today actually means discreet, right? Luxury for them, it's no longer opulence. They want depth, but most importantly, discreet. What Anthony said earlier, by the way, for 81 Yaranabi. I love that tagline, by the way. I have arrived, but not to be seen. Right? So how are you going to balance these two paradoxes, where you need to create a brand that the brand can sort of, continue their reputation, their concept, but at the same time cater to these ultra high net worth individuals in terms of discretion. Right, so I think for all the developers and brands here, something to think about.
Thank you. I know everybody's thirsty, everybody wants to network, want to meet people that they didn't meet before. You have the chance, of course, to meet our gentlemen here at the networking as well. I would like to thank the panelists today for your contribution. Please chit-chat with them more after this. And I give the last word to Mauro.
The last word, I hope it's not the last word I'm going to say a long time. But thank you very much for everybody. Thanks, Champ, for taking care of us today with the beautiful hotel and for taking care of the drinks and the food later. Thank you everybody for joining. And now it's a good moment of the HoSkar night coming. So thank you guys. We'll take some picture. You done? You want to close it with something, Marcian? I see you.
I think one quote that has stand with me is quality is long remembered after the price has been forgotten. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the networking section, also outdoor, indoor, and inside here. We will set up this area and open the outdoor for you to take the views of Dusit here. Thank you so much, and please stay with us tonight. We have a long section to go. Thank you. And the speaker, we want to together.